So I want to welcome everybody to Free to Heal. We come together every week so that we can talk about those things that will help us to heal from the ravages of incarceration. Family members, this is a group of formerly incarcerated people. We have people who've done fed time, state time. We have family members, and we come together because incarceration affects entire communities. And so tonight, I wanted to start the floor. I wanted to give it to Ms. Cheryl because she came to me earlier and she said there's something specific that she wanted to talk about. It's an extension of what we talked about last week. Last week, we talked a lot about relationships. And you know, for the guys, that was one of the things that was one of the reasons they're here is relationship conversations. Now, as I was doing a relationship group with the gentleman for years, the gentleman started to get a little bit older. And so it became more about various kinds of relationships. And we will always talk about various kinds of relationships. We will not just talk about one. It's not just intimate partner relationships, but I will say this, is that everything is done on a relationship basis. Business, people hire people. Companies don't hire people. People, you know, any friendships, people living in the same household, all of that is relationship. And I want to say this even before I turn this over to Cheryl. I was thinking about this. One of the things, and we've talked about this before, but one of the things that's really important is a sense of integrity in relationship. So you got to be able to tell the truth. And when I say integrity, I'm talking about when nobody's looking. That's what integrity is. Yeah. It's doing the right thing when nobody's looking. Because you can easily do the right thing. Like it's easy for me to tell Diane while she's sitting here that she's a nice person. That's easy to do. What's hard to do is when I have to sit in Diane's face and say, Diane, you're wrong about that. Or that's not exactly the way you should be looking at that. Or maybe here's another perspective. And I know she don't want to hear it. That's integrity. Or when Diane's not here and somebody says something that I know is wrong about Diane and I don't correct them. That's the integrity I'm talking about. But I want you to understand this. The highest form of integrity is that you have with yourself. And that's the first most important relationship you're ever going to have is the one you have with yourself. Why? Because you cannot, even if you're trying to enter into a relationship with somebody else, whether it is an intimate partner, whether it's an employer, whether it's a friend, you need to know enough about yourself to be able to describe what works for you. I tell people, when you go in for a job interview, this is not them judging you and deciding whether you're worthy. You need to be interviewing them as well to decide whether that's the company you want to work for. So you need to have your questions as well. You need to know, is this someplace that I really want to be? There are certain kinds of jobs I could never take, like such as no fast food I could do. What I couldn't do is the DPSS work or the Child Protective Services worker that goes in and take the kids out the house. Because I'd be trying to take all the kids to the house with me. I'd be trying to go nurture the babies. Okay, come on. Y'all go. They all, right, you know what I'm saying? I got them all over the place. And then I couldn't sleep at night. So that's the kind of thing, I just couldn't do it. And when the baby's screaming and holler, I don't want to leave my mama. And yeah, no, despite the fact that they got cigarette burns and they ain't ate in months, and I couldn't do it. I can't see that kind of stuff. So there's stuff that I know. There are some people who are night people. It doesn't make sense for a person who's a night person to get up and have to be and take a job to start at 6 o'clock in the morning. You know you ain't gonna get up and be at no job at 6 o'clock. And you're gonna be irritable and nobody's gonna want to work with you. So these are things, again, you got to know these things about yourself so that you pick those things that are right for you. When it comes to a significant other, you need to know enough about yourself, about what you want, what you don't want, what you like, so that you can then explain that to somebody else. If you don't know what you want or what you think you deserve in a relationship, people will be only too happy to give you whatever crumbs and leftovers and whatever works for them. They're going to give you just what works for them. Today, I'm going to treat you like a king or a queen because that's what works for me. But then come tomorrow, I don't need you today. So say today, I want to take you out and show somebody that I got a good man or a good woman. I want you on my arm like a trophy. But then tomorrow, I don't need you, so I don't even call you and think nothing about you. Okay? Again, you have to know whether that's going to work for you or not. Last week, we had a long conversation about friends with benefits, booty calls, as it were. And I'm a big believer, this is just my opinion, I've never seen it actually work for an extended period of time. I've never seen it work. But these are the kinds of things that we like to discuss here. And also understanding that people who have been in prison, a lot of times, in my experience, the emotional development in relationships is stunted at whatever age people went into incarceration. Mm-hmm. It is not the place that you're emotionally developed, and certainly not in men's prisons. And I don't think it's a good place to try to build a relationship either. No, well, and people do it all the time. People, I'm amazed. We had a guy here who went into prison at 18 and wound up getting married 3 times while he was in prison. I was stunned and amazed that he was able to meet and marry women while he was incarcerated. And he just let it slide out like it was nothing. I was like, wait.
Why would it amaze you?
Well, because where do women come from?
Where'd you come from?
Look,
you didn't get married, but you had a guy inside
before he went in.
I knew that person before he was before he was incarcerated. He was incarcerated, did a long stint, came home. I met him in between stints, and he called me when he was incarcerated. I did not know him.
So you saying your number's not on the bathroom wall?
Okay, no, my number is not on the wall. But wait, actually, that might not be true. It may be on the wall at the bathroom, but don't play, okay? But
they go online.
It may be on the wall at the bathroom, y'all. I don't know, but that's not how the guy I was dating that was incarcerated, how we got in a relationship. So this guy again.
I told you about that guy. The 2 guys when I was in Alabama, they didn't have 15 cents between them. They bought a dating book for $2.50, and they split the cost. And they started writing people in that book. And they were getting so much mail that the warden finally told them they had to cut it down to 10 letters a piece. So they picked out the 10 that were giving them the most stuff. And
that's true.
Can you see? Okay, see, this is another reason why I do this group, because you learn something all the time. You can always learn something. Who the hell is in a book?
Excuse me.
A lot of people.
They have what are the Fed girls? The Feds, I forget what the name. It's a website you go to, so you could write girls in the Feds. But I'm sure the state got it too. But I had a roommate who would write men. She kept a notebook. The ones who sent money, they were in the front, and if they didn't send money, she would tear their page out and start writing somebody else, and that's how she did her time.
Okay, so let me just say this. I want to fight everybody involved.
Well, I'm not going to share
my story. Look, the women that send them stuff, they want a person that they can be. I've seen guys get married in there, and the wife likes it because she's only married
when she's at the prison.
When she's at the prison. When she goes back home, she lives a whole different
right.
life.
Right.
You know, and they marry. It's just like motorboat killers.
Uh-huh.
You know, what they call them?
Serial killers.
Yeah. You wouldn't believe the mail that they get.
Oh yeah, they get a lot.
You know?
Because of the celebrity.
And they wanna
But you was
marry
gonna
'em.
say about your story?
Well, my particular story, my brother, he would do things like this. Was weird to me, but women fall for a lot of stuff, y'all. He would call people back then. You could make phone calls a lot on the phone, and he would be talking to them like he knew them, and they would talk to him like they knew him as well. But the conversation would go on and on for a couple of days, and they'd be sending him money. I would go pick up money for him. He had never even seen this woman a day in his life.
Okay.
I picked up.
Okay, so I'm gonna pick my face up off the floor, right? So again, you learn something new every day. Pick it up, Nora. Pick it up. What the fuck? Okay, look. Okay. Let me just say this. Okay. So again, I say this, even how did the man, what I don't understand, maybe he met him on one of them books or something that y'all talking about. Because I couldn't understand how the man could meet and marry 3 different women and he ain't even married today.
Because they have women who solicit men in prison.
But didn't he say something like those are women that he knew prior before he went?
No.
He didn't know. Oh, okay.
No,
So,
that's the part that
Oh.
had me confused.
And then you got guys up there talking about they got cousins and
Oh yeah,
And-
they bring him to visits. I have heard of that story, right?
yeah.
But let me just say this about that. Because you're right about, I know about women where, and I know men who have had life sentences. Somebody married them, but the minute they got a date, the women started acting funny and they wound up getting divorced. Because those women don't really want, they want a fantasy. They don't want the full responsibility of a relationship. And I have heard that multiple times that,
And some of them get paid by the state because their husband's in prison.
oh Lord. So,
Yeah.
okay, so this is a hustle, this is a money hustle. Now I want you men to think about that. Okay, so that the
Why do you
next,
say you men? You got women that
well,
come out
because,
of prison.
well, no, listen, I want everybody up in the sound of my voice to listen. If they on you because they can get a check for your ass, trust and believe that ain't a sound foundation.
They don't care inside because they're getting money from them.
So
Everybody's getting something.
And guess what? And this I'm gonna finish my point.
And then a family visit once in a while.
Right, get a little
Top it
conjugal
off.
visit.
Yeah.
Top it off with a good orgasm, and then once. Okay, hey, look, far be it for me to tell anybody how to run their business. Okay, far be it from me. Okay, Mr. Steffens, far be it from me. If you gonna top it off with a little orgasm on top, I can't be mad at you, right? But this is what I want to say about that. Understand this: prison is a universe all of its own. Whatever you're dealing with in prison does not apply when you come on the other side of the wall. So if you start a relationship in prison, know that it don't have no bearing on who this person really is. You don't know them, nor do you know you. Is that not right, Miss Cheryl? You don't know who, because that's one of her favorite statements. You don't know who you are until you get out here and find out who you are in this world. One of the things, I'm gonna say this, I'm gonna give you the floor. One of the things that caused me to wind up doing the group on relationships was a poem that I wrote about my experience dating a guy who had been incarcerated. And one of the things that I learned, the reason I didn't want to just get, the people at the Francisco homes wanted me just to give them the poem. And the reason I didn't want to do that, it was because it was some things that I realized that I knew was more than just, oh, he used me for money while he was in prison and now he don't need me no more now that he's home. I knew it wasn't that. But one of the things I realized is there's an identity crisis that happens when people come home from prison. And that identity crisis is produced because the person who went into prison is never the person who comes out. Prison changes you in one way or another, good, bad, or otherwise. And it could be some of both. It's not a judgment of whether that's good or bad, but prison changes the person who went in. And it doesn't even matter how much time it is, even in a short period of time, it happens. The person that's in prison, that universe has its own language, its own hierarchy, its own politics, a whole lot of things. Its own everything. And so you can't live that life out here. So that doesn't apply. So the question becomes, once you get on
That's
this
not
side of the
true.
wall, yes, it is.
No, it
Once you get on this side of the wall, the question becomes, who are you now?
What
You have
happened
to
if you're
identify who you are now. And that is the identity crisis that happens very often. Now I got somebody who disagrees, and I'm gonna let him go ahead and say why he disagrees.
he a gangbanger when he goes in, he gangbangs in the prison, and he comes back out and gangbangs? Tell me that ain't the same person.
He is not the same person.
Bullshit.
Listen. So
I got something.
Go ahead, Ram.
Okay. Like it's like the joke when they say, how many psychiatrists does it take to change the light bulb? The light bulb has to want to change, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Myself, independent, in prison the whole time. I ran with my people, but my people were the natives and I was native. I've always done that. I was the same person when I went in and the same person when I went out. I haven't changed any of that. And the thing is, I always used to tell my mother, they can change where I'm at, but they can't change my spirit. They can lock me up, but they can't lock up my spirit.
But let me tell you something. There's some things, Ram, that have changed about you. If nothing else, Ram, you're older than when you went in. Okay.
Well, that's one of the changes.
Some time passed. Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
This old fart over here, they let him out because he couldn't do no more plumbing. You understand what I'm saying? His ass is Don't tell me it's the same person.
They have pills for that, Noreen. I'm just kidding.
He even got a rod in his damn back, ain't did him no good. So look, I'm just saying this again. Something changes, even if it's nothing but the age and the passage of time.
Oh yeah.
Something about a person is different when they go into incarceration. There are things that people go through and experience and you witness in prison that change your perspective on the world. Some people may go into prison very naive and whatever and get the shock of their life.
Yeah.
Some people go into prison as monsters and come out different people. They learn some things, right? They learn how to control some of their urges. They learn some of the things that make a difference for them. So the point being is that everybody has an adjustment. Everybody makes it, but again, even the person that's in prison cannot. That lifestyle is not the same out here. Even if you had a cell and now you got a 1-bedroom apartment. The dude I was dating, he said he called his one bedroom cell. And he ate the same food and whatever, but no, it was not. You didn't have central air and central heat, motherfucker. Don't play with me. You did not have that up in there. Don't play. No, this apartment was not central air and central heat.
It my single
and
cell.
Guess what? He called it a single cell, but guess what? He living on the 6th floor with a great view of downtown. That is not the same thing, boo boo. Okay, I don't care how you cut it. You can eat what you want. He out here being what do I call it? Being demanding or choicey about what food he want to eat. We trying to help him find something, and I really only want breakfast food. Okay, you wasn't telling them people that in the prison.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I ate breakfast and I made my other food, unless it was hamburgers or something like that. I don't eat vegetables. I haven't ate a vegetable since I was 7 years old, and ain't gonna eat one.
So again, that unit he got, it ain't the same. Okay, so I'm just saying that that was the thing, is that there is, and let me say it this way, so I can get agreement from this one over here. It ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen. But anyway, whatever. My thing is this: the majority of people that go into prison is not the person that comes out on the other side. I don't care how you cut it. That is not the same person. Hi, May. My dude, what's happening?
Good, I'm sorry.
Morning, dear. Good to see you. Good to see you. So listen, so this is the thing. So now you wanted to say something. Come on, get close, and I'm gonna move on out the way. I'm gonna slide so you can have the.
No, it's not that. I just want to make some points from last week and what you just said about if you start a relationship in prison. First of all, my roommate, she came back to the room one day and said the girl told, let's say her name is Daisy. Daisy told me she loved me. And I said, yeah? She said, yeah, she don't even know my mother's name. So, and that was I laughed so hard about that. And that's the thing. So when people tell me, oh, I love so-and-so, and I be like, so what's their mama name? How you gonna love somebody you don't know their mother name? So that means you don't know them. You don't know people just because you just want to have sex with them. You're not worried about that kind of thing. And some people just want to have sex with people. And then, like one time I was down at the parole office taking two of the ladies, and I had on heels and a skirt and some boots. And I was walking, and the guy turns and says, he's talking to the parole agent, and he turns and says, how you doing? And I was like, I know he didn't just stop taking care of his business, the flirt, right? And stuff. So the guy he had been gone like 31 years, went in and he's 17. And I know your mindset when you come home is about having sex and stuff, but it's far more important things for you to do is get your life together and know who you are, because you can't be in a relationship if you don't know who you are. And Noreen made a very good point. We were talking to a guy one time, and I had said to the guy, you don't even know this world right now. You don't know how the women are in this world right now. And you got women who look just like women, but they men right now. You can't tell the difference. And you got to learn how to know yourself so you won't fall into those kind of things. Yeah. Okay.
That was it?
I got some more stuff, but it's that she was just talking about relationships again.
No, but go through your list, boo. Go through your list.
What is that guy? It's the one who said he thought he was a good listener, and he said something to somebody one time, and they yelled at him because they said he wasn't listening. Sometimes people talk and you don't even understand what they're saying, so you have to ask questions for clarity. You really have to be, and that means to me that you're a good listener because you didn't understand what I said, so you're asking me questions, and I would be happy to say to you, oh, that's what I meant right here, because everybody doesn't talk the same and everybody doesn't hear the same either. And
related to that, last week, just to bring those who were not on with us last week, part of what we were discussing is that to build relationship, you have to be a good listener. And part of that is listening to understand what the other person is saying and not listening to respond. Oftentimes we're listening only long enough to where we hear trigger words for us or things we want to say, and then we stop listening at that point and we begin to formulate our response to it, and then we wind up not really hearing the whole conversation, and then we start to act as if we know what the person was going to say, and we don't. Okay. So at the end of the day, and let me just say to y'all, make sure the labels is turned around, because look, this might be on the thing, and I don't want them to get I don't want Coca-Cola to get no rep off of me, boo-boo. Okay, we are not marketing your damn product, even though this fool right here, he probably should have stock in them, but that's beside the point. Anywho, and thank you very. Okay, so again, being a good listener, that's what that comment was about. It was from last week, where we have to learn how to be good listeners. One of the other things about listening, with my son, I used to tell him, you want to listen to what a girl is telling you in the early parts of the relationship. What are you listening for? You're listening to how she responds to the other people in her life. People will tell you a lot about them when they're telling you about communication and relationships they're having with somebody else. You may wind up getting the person they would like to be, the representative. Oh, I'm this, I'm sweet, I'm kind, I'm lovely. Okay, well, underneath of it is that mean, evil heifer that they don't want you to see. But they'll tell you about her when they tell you, I was talking to Willie, and Willie was getting on my nerves, and I screamed at Willie, and then I had to sock Willie in the head. Okay, wait, hold on. What's happening? Okay, that's who they really are. That sweet representative is the person they want you to believe that they are. Okay, so when you listen to them and they tell you, I got into it with my mother, and this happened, and she screamed at me, and she threw me out the house, and she threw knives at me, or she threw the frying pan at me, that's going to tell you, just know this, that she grew up believing that throwing frying pans and putting people out the house was okay. Believe that when y'all have an argument and she mad with you, she gonna throw frying pans at you and try to put you out the house too. Okay, so exchange yourself for the other person when you're listening. Listen for, again, because they're going to tell you things about themselves that they don't know they're saying when they think they're telling you about someone else. And normally those stories will be to make them look good. Okay, they're always going to be the ones that look good. So that's how you learn a lot about a person. But okay, now what's next on your list?
That was it.
Oh, that was it? Okay.
No, it wasn't.
It triggered me when we talking about something else.
No, I see you. You started to say something else.
Yeah, and I believe you.
Yeah.
I believe you, Pike. I believe you. See, I know it was something else that was on that list too, but that's okay. What we're gonna do? We're gonna keep on. We're gonna keep on moving on. And now, what I would like to do. What time of day is it? Okay, 6:45. What I want to do is I have a. Let me see. Where is my? Oh, where is it? Let me see. No, that's not it. See, on this one here, I don't know how to, I'm not gonna be able to do this. Well, you know what? I have a document opened up on a, let me see if I can fix this. But the reality is that, let me see. And because I want to talk, this is something that I have been teaching from when I was teaching in CIW. And let me see if it'll share now really quick. Okay, so good. I can get some of it on the screen. And that is to talk about a self-concept. So your self-concept is really important. Who do you see yourself to be? Because that's where the most work takes place. Did you want to say something, or you just want to be able to see?
No, I was just blowing it up.
Okay, so can you guys see it? Is it big enough? Okay, so your self-concept is what you think and feel about yourself. It's the values you hold and how you see yourself acting in certain situations. It's your image of yourself. And this is the most important thing you're ever going to have, because whatever you believe about yourself, let me try to make it bigger. Whatever you believe about yourself is how you're going to behave in every situation. So self-concept is your mental picture of who you are, what you do well, your weaknesses, how you get along, your opinions. All of these things are, and everything else you know or believe about yourself. And let me tell you why that's important. So I'll give you an example in my life. When I was young, my dad was a heroin addict. But some of my earliest memories of him are him in recovery. And my grandmother telling me that he was sick and I needed to be on my best behavior. What that did to a little girl at that time, I processed that to mean that if he was sick or he had an issue, it was okay no matter what I needed from a man, that I just had to suck it up and not worry about my needs because the man needed something. Now that's okay for your daddy, but not for a relationship that you're in with a significant other. Right. And I want to go up a little bit because there's a graphic down here. So I want you to see this graphic. And there.
What did you say that made her get up?
Nothing.
Oh, okay. So if you see on this graphic right here, there's your actual self, and then there's your ideal self. There are people, remember I talked a minute ago about the representative, the person that I want you to think that I am. That's my ideal self. Then there's this actual self. And to the extent that these two don't actually match, there's a gap right there. And those things that I need to do about those things is to bring those two together. My job is to make sure that those two things come as closely aligned as possible. Nobody's ever going to be perfect in their eyes or in the eyes of the world. Nobody. Okay. But at the same time, you can make things better. So a positive or realistic self-concept helps you get along with people, solve problems, and complete tasks. Even though you might need to work on improving some skills, when you see yourself solving problems and completing things, you feel better about yourself. Somebody talked about, I think it was Otis earlier talked about, today was a good day. He was, able to move forward. He's good, getting ready to get a job. He starts on Thursday. Success, and I'm going to stop sharing just because this is right now, just so we can talk about this. The positive self-image, once you begin to feel positive, it tends to generate more positive around you. Just like being around negative people makes you negative. I think it was it'll bring negative out of you. Okay, is how I was trying to say that. It came out the wrong way. But being around negative people, if you spend your time focusing on hanging around, talking to negative people, negative energy is going to come to you, and it will begin to manifest all around you. Okay, you will begin to produce it. You start to think that way, and you don't even realize that it's going on. Okay, so one of the things is, Will Smith said, if you look at your life and you look at your five people you spend the most time with.
My mom.
Wait 1 second. Let me just finish the thought. The 5 people you spend the most time with, that's going to tell you the quality of the life that you have. And if you don't like what you see in those 5 people, you need to first start with getting a different set of friends. But that's going to come in with your self-concept, because I know people who are in relationship, whether they're friends or whether they're lovers, and the part of what keeps them bound in the relationship is misery, is unhappiness, is dysfunction. They know how to function with each other in the dysfunction. And they function in dysfunction too well. So that is what keeps them bound together. It's not that that they really that there's something healthy going on, but they continue to hang out because they understand each other's misery. And you wanted to say what your mom was saying.
When I was young and I was in the youth authority.
You were young? Oh.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And I'll sock you up too.
I know. Okay, here you go.
Anyhow, when I came home, I was home about a month. And my mom said, "You got to quit cussing." And you know what my reply was? "What the fuck are you talking about?" And it didn't, in my mind, I wasn't saying anything wrong. It's just that I had been around these people that every other word was a cuss word. And
it became normalized for you.
Yeah, it sure did.
And the language, you didn't even hear it anymore. And this is what happens a lot of times in homes where there's abuse and arguing and carrying on. That's why when I told you, I was telling my son about listening to a woman or a girl when they're talking, because what is normal to them will come out in conversation as if it's okay. And so we have to be paying attention to what people say. And again, whoever we are around a lot, like I like hanging out with this group of folks that I'm hanging out with. Why? Because we're all about, number one, being honest with ourselves about who we are, where we are, things that we need to correct, and we know we need to heal. We know we got scars. Yes, I have scars from being in a relationship with a man that was incarcerated. I do. It wouldn't be honest to say that that's not the case. But I also know that I can survive those things and I can move on and have a life beyond that and have a healthy relationship. And yes, we're friends like these. Look, I also know that I got support, baby. You get crazy, okay, we'll take you out, but that's another story. That's another whole story. That's whole nother story. But I wanna pause right here, and I wanna get comment, just any feedback from the folks that's on Zoom or even in the room. Anybody, any comments?
Yes, Ms. Noreen, Willie. I like the idea about having scars. I grew up without a nuclear family, and that I carried those scars for a long time, and I still do. But I like the idea, concept and concept of self and ideal self. And I'm working on that so dearly.
Yeah, because you know what I told you, you're an amazing person to me. Because I don't know, I grew up with so many people in my family, in the household, that the notion of not having a nuclear family, I don't even know, I don't even have any idea what that would be like. And so, but I always find you to be so insightful and have so much wisdom and perceptive in the things that you say, that it
Anyhow,
amazes
yeah,
me.
go ahead.
It truly amazes me.
Just leave me
because
about 4 pieces. I'm
what you get ready to
on
do
the
is
group.
stop talking over my meat, Mr. Hill. I'm gonna mute you. But I find that to be utterly amazing. And again, see, you know, one of the things, I'm going to use your story as an example, if that's okay. And that's to say that
Okay.
not having a nuclear family, despite the way that your parents were taken from you, right, may have caused you to believe and ask as a child, what was it about me that they didn't stay? Or what was it about me that made me so bad that God took my parents? Or what, all of those things get to kick in, and questions that kick in about you, though. You, as children, we internalize those things. For example, when parents talk, okay, so you have parents, they separated, they still have a child. The custodial parent says negative things about the parent that's not in the household. The child internalizes the negative things as those things are about them. As much as the parent thinks they're talking about the other parent, what they don't realize is the child hears, I'm fill in the blank. Whatever you said about my daddy, I'm that. Right? So in your case, you didn't have either of your parents. And I'm sure those questions somewhere along the way kicked in. Why did God allow both of my parents to be taken from me? What was so bad about me? And then, of course, you grew up in a time, Mr. Stephens, where people wasn't having no children asking no questions like that. Who was you going to talk to? Did they even let you go to your parents' funerals? Because, you know, in our age bracket, they didn't even always take children to the funeral.
Right.
So did they allow you to attend your parents' funerals?
I vividly remember seeing someone, but I can't identify who that person was.
Wow.
You know, at the age of 2 and 4, you have a great deal of visualization, but no one says this is this person and this is this person. Wow. That never was told. It was like taboo. They didn't talk about.
See, that's the thing. There's so much. We talked about the silence. I think we talked about that last week as well. Is a lot of things happening. Oh, actually, we talked about it. I was at I spoke at a dinner on Saturday to address sexual assault and domestic violence. It's Sexual Assault Awareness Month this month as well. And so it was last month, and that was the end of it. So anyway, one of the things about that particular kind of crime is the fact that the silence around it, people not talking. There's this concept there, like particularly with older women, it was, I survived it and so can you. So you just didn't talk about it. But I know for a fact that in our age bracket, when, and certainly older than me, that when children's parents died, they didn't even always allow the children to attend the funeral. They felt like they didn't need to, like they didn't need the closure or need to understand. And then nobody talked about it. That it's like the parents just didn't exist. And therefore, so you can't ask questions. You didn't feel comfortable to ask questions. And they didn't understand that as a child, you needed those conversations. You needed to know who your parents were. You needed to know what kind of person they were to help you learn about who you are.
Wow. Yeah.
Right. And, and what am I made of? Where do I come from? But they never gave you that opportunity. And of course, all of that frustration, I'm sure, was bottled up. The anger, the frustration, the low self-esteem that it had to produce, having no esteem for yourself, because again, what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
right? Nothing to attach.
Right. You know, for a long time, I was mad with God for that very reason. Why? Why me? What was so much? Was I special that I came in the world all by myself and I'm all by myself? What was with that? And you know, I talk about it to myself and I try to find answers to those very questions because, you know, coming up in 4 different foster homes, nobody wanted to share anything about who I was, where I came from, and I'm trying to find that identity today.
Yeah. And seeing if you don't know who you are, people will have no problem helping you to form what they want you to be. And they'll utilize you for whatever serves their purposes at that time. Right. And try to guide you to be who they want you to be, not for the benefit of you, but for their benefit as to how you may be in service to their vision of the world. So that is a very, it's a prime example of how dangerous it can be when you don't have, and your self-concept could have been skewed in a bunch of different ways, because going from one home to the next, it may change.
Yeah.
Right. And now they want you to be something different than you were over here. It's different rules and regulations. So when I renovated my house, I was staying with relatives, and I stayed, and one relative got this quirk and they like this, they got this, and another one got, and I felt schizophrenic, like trying to remember, oh yeah, at her house I don't do this, and at her house I don't do this because they got this. And it was like at the end of 9 weeks, I was just ready to go home. I was like, I just need to go somewhere. Yeah, right. Like you say, you know, this one here, she don't like recyclables left on her counter. So I had to start leaving them in my bedroom and taking them out in the morning. And they're little things, but guess what? They were things that I was glad to try to remember because they were kind enough to allow me to stay in their home when I needed a place to stay. So you try to remember, but again, I was schizophrenic. So because I couldn't remember, is this the house to do this? Is this the house to do that? But think about it. Now, I'm a grown woman, a hard grown woman, okay? Imagine being a child and trying to navigate that whole process. That's a whole horse of a different color. So what we believe about ourselves can lead us to doing positive things. As the slide said, you can have a positive self-image, and that can be generated because, like, when you come home and you get your ID, you get in school, the things that you want to do, you get your driver's license, you begin to get out and do things and see the world, go to the beach, see things you haven't seen before, live part of a life that you haven't lived in a long time. Those things can help produce positive self-image. But then at the same time, it can be the negative self-image. You're going to have to work through those things and give yourself a more positive image of yourself so that you can begin to produce positive around you. There is a universal spirit law that doesn't change no matter who we are, and that's called the law of attraction. Okay? You are going to attract to yourself what you concentrate the most on. Whatever you spend your time thinking about most, if you're always thinking about how somebody is mistreating you, you're going to get mistreatment all the time. If nothing else, you'll perceive it in everything that happens. You're going to see it in everything that happens. So whatever you spend your time focusing on is what you're going to begin to see more of. And it may take some months and some time, but trust me, you're going to see it more often. So we need to begin to focus on those and get that positive self-concept and recognize that we can have it. Yes.
So if I was in a relationship and the relationship ended and I still focus on the person, what's going to happen?
You're going to be in the pain. Whatever pain came from that relationship, that's what you're going to be in. You're going to constantly forever relive those issues, and whatever pain you experienced at that time, it's going to keep coming, and you're never going to be able to get beyond that unless and until you begin to focus on why you did it, why you stayed.
Okay, so what if I went to prison and my husband left me after the second year, and now I'm back home, he wants to be my friend again?
Fuck him and feed him fish.
Huh?
Fuck him and feed him fish. You know why I say that? Okay, look. If he left you after 2 years of prison and now he want to get back, it's only because you hit, look, whatever that is, you can rest assured there's no loyalty there. Because when you needed him worse, I'll say this about anybody. I'll say this about to anybody about anything. If you can't be with me at my worst, then you don't deserve to be in my presence when I'm at my best.
Yeah.
I say that because I did do that.
You did do what, baby?
I didn't stand by someone when they were incarcerated and they feel that I should have, but it was things that happened in between you getting incarcerated. The person got incarcerated, but I didn't stand by them.
But you did prior to that, though.
Prior to that.
Yeah, so that wasn't the first run.
No, it wasn't.
Okay, see, that's the whole story. See, that's the whole thing. Yeah, you did that. You did all that other standing by the situation the first time. You did all them things. It was the second time.
Second time around, I was talking about.
Okay, okay, that's a whole that is a totally different element. If she talking about the first time incarceration, and I just walk out on you, after 2 years, I would say you're not worthy of my time. You're not worthy of having me. Okay, now
I've seen guys that asked their wives to divorce them.
Oh yeah,
because they knew they was going to do a lot of time and they wanted their wife to have a life.
Particularly, I've heard that on several occasions too. But listen, I want to give anybody. Okay, something you want to say?
I was a happy, positive person. I always thought like that. I always felt like that. But I always attract the people that always have something a little off about them. But by me being the kind of person, I always think I can help them or fix them. But I'm always positive. I'm always helpful. I'm always kind. So I don't think like that, but I always end up around those kind of people that something's always a little teak, and I always feel like I can fix the teak, but that's not true. You can't fix no one. The person has to fix themselves.
And distracted too.
Well, and the thing of it is that, let me say this. So no, he's right. He's right.
Thank you.
In this way. Let me say this way. Okay, I'm gonna tell you this. You're a giver, and they're takers. They attract. Okay, it's not you thinking you can help and fix. And I hear you say it all the time about anybody. The people walking up on you on the street, and you done put on your damn cape, and now you going to go get them some food, and you trying to help. Okay, because that's who you are. So what happens is, who you are, it attracts people to you who want to take. True. And people who need things. And that's not necessarily, that's not good or bad. It's not neither hot nor cold. It just is what it is. Now, if you want to adjust that, what you learn is some wisdom, right? Which is you're learning along the way. You learn some wisdom in who you give to. Right. And you don't give everything you got at the beginning. So see, that's the difference. That's the thing with that. How can I say it? This is die all the time. I don't know no other person to be. I grew up and I've learned, I love and respect me. But this is me. I can't change me. You're not going to. Yeah, but things I have to change is who I put my goodness into. That's all. That's all. Because listen, that's what I have. Yes, but guess what? That was an adjustment. It's not necessarily changing who you are. It's an adjustment who you bestow that upon. Right? Everybody don't have access to all of the things that you have. Everybody, how they say, there's levels to this shit. Very much so. There's levels to this shit. Some of y'all can get 5 minutes of my time, and some of y'all can get 5 hours. You see what I'm saying? Everybody don't get the same thing. When you go in the liquor store, and the stuff they got behind the thing that's locked up back there and the top shelf, you don't get that for the price of the champagne, boo-boo. Okay, I'm just saying. So why should they get all of my high class services and all of that? You see what I'm saying? It's a whole lot over here for you to have, baby. You can't. No, everybody don't just get everything. Okay, so I'm just saying that. But look, it's getting late. I want to make sure we give everybody an opportunity to check out. So who I got? Who's that? Mr. Jaime. I'm gonna ask you to unmute and give me any parting comments, sir.
The thing that I really liked was that the self concept. Like that was actually one of my factors, like growing up, that I had poor self concept of myself, and that led to a lot of sadness, a lot of depression, a lot of just like it affected my whole mood, right? Yes. And then you talked about the what was the other one about where you basically put all your focus on when you think that way. They call the term remember the term you just.
When you focus on it and the law of attraction.
Yeah, there it is, the law of attraction. Okay, I haven't
Mhm.
heard one in a while. The law of attraction, right?
Uh-huh.
But I'm glad you bring it up because that helped me understand that every time that I focus on, like, say for example alcohol, that could consume a whole dang world. Like my friends started, like I was only attracted to people who drank. That was my crowd. And then when they drank certain things, like say it was say Dos Equis or Corona, I was attracted to, I was constantly, it was consuming me in different ways to the point where it's like I'm looking for justification to do it, giving myself that permission. You know what I mean? And it affected me in a negative way in the long run. You know what I mean? So I just, for me, that was important to really understand that self concept because I realized then I had poor values, because I had a poor self concept of myself. But when I understood that, how how my attitude
You can make an adjustment. It gave
that
you
I
an
had my
opportunity to make
responsibility
that
to turn
adjustment.
into something else.
Yes.
Once I started doing that, just like everything just like went away. I was no longer sad. I was more happy. I didn't have that like I was always didn't feel run down mentally or emotionally.
Uh-huh.
I was more outgoing. I was doing more. I was talking more. I mean, it just slowly started changing. Like my perception of life in a better way. So that's how like I didn't even know that I had that. Until I just started studying myself.
That's awesome.
Taking that
I have
inventory, I
missed
guess you
you.
want to say.
I have really missed you. I really have. I really have. So it's good to hear
Yeah,
your voice and your
yeah,
perspective.
yeah.
Thank
I'm
you for
sorry.
being
I
here.
have, I have a new job and it's like I work graveyard, so it's like sometimes when I fall asleep, sometimes I get up and I'm like, dang it, I missed it again.
That's all right, though. I forgive you. I'm just glad it's
Uh,
working out well. But I just wanted you to know that you were missed, and I appreciate your voice in the room. Mr. Hill, you want to give me he's trying to connect. Ram, you want to go ahead and give me your final thoughts?
Well, there's quite a few different things. In this, when we're born, we come out in this world crying, and we're supposed to leave happy, laughing, no matter what. And then the case with Mr. Stephan, I feel his pain in a lot of ways, but as he knows as a spiritual man, as I know him very well, we've had some good talks about prayer of Jabez is a very powerful prayer to pray for anybody. But the other thing is, when one of your family members passes away, or both of them, we are gods because we were gods before. We were always gods. We were just lent to our families, to them, so they can learn something. So that, each and every one of them learn. But see, we are never lost. Like when I say lost and found, like the song, we're God's children. And so God helps us throughout these days, and he tells you, okay, that's why we got choices. You're going to go one way or another. And everybody biblically, no matter if it's through the Bible or whatever, has been to prison. And you have to make a mission statement to get yourself out. It's a thing that you either get right or you're going to get left. So, and you always have these things that are in the back of your mind, but we don't always know them. One thing I learned from doing sweat lodge, stuff like that, I've been there with the spirits, and they tell you, you know what you're supposed to be doing, so do it. And you go like, why didn't I think of that? We don't think of it because we don't think in the spiritual sense, because the invisible is always there, like God, he's there everywhere. Everything we see is God, But I mean, you have to remember that it's believing in the unseen throughout life. You have to believe
and recognizing that it's real, that it does have an impact. Just because you don't see it, I'll prove it to you. Did you see the air you just breathed in?
Oh.
You didn't see it, but let me cover your mouth, okay? Don't tell me you don't believe in what you can't see. Let me cover
it's like the wind.
your nose, okay?
Yeah. It's like the wind.
So
you can feel the wind.
You can't see. Let me take it from you.
Yeah. You can feel the wind. Like someone said, I've never seen God. I don't know what God is. You feel the wind.
Sure do. Sure do. That's right.
It's the Spirit. It's the Holy Spirit right there.
That's right. So thank you.
Amen to that.
Thank you. Thank you
welcome.
so much. Mr. Hill. Can you give me your final comments?
Yeah, even though I kind of got caught in leaving and coming back and forth, my phone messed up.
Uh-huh.
So what I miss. But what I gathered before I left was the fact that what the relationships that we talk about each and every day, the knowledge or that we perceive in our brain, that we listen to and we apply to our spirit and to our lives, that's what keeps us going. And so I just want to say that how grateful I am and how I would love to be more into things like that every day, because all they do is strengthen me.
Well, and the good thing is that you can produce your universe around you by controlling your thoughts. If you look at your life and you don't like what you see, change your thoughts. Change your perspective on the world, and it's going to change everything, baby. Just change it, make the shift, and it's right within you. Once you begin again with that self-concept, that relationship with yourself, that's where the changes are going to happen. Thank you. Eddie.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Any final comments?
Yeah. First, I appreciate the group. There were a lot of points that kind of hit me deeply, and I have a whole list of things on a page. I don't know what to pick, but I'll pick one. The statement, "If you can't be with me at my worst, then you don't deserve to be with me at my best."
Word.
Is something that I'm going to carry with me going forward.
Wonderful.
As it wraps into this idea of self-concept and identity, that's another thing. Those things really resonated with me, because I feel as I'm transitioning to this, I have to define myself coming out of the situation I come out of, but I have to define myself also as an adult in general.
Yes.
And it's reassuring to hear from people outside of me things I kind of already decided on myself, that I wasn't going to rush into anything, that I need to get myself right. I need to focus on the things I need to focus on before I can even go into worrying about a whole nother person.
Right.
People are complex, but I look very much forward to attending this group every week and learning all that I can learn and soaking up everything I can soak up. And I just appreciate everybody that's participated. And thank you very much.
You're going to make me cry, because let me tell you something. Being even half of those things to you and for your benefit, helping you in that way, is why we do this. And again, why I recorded and broadcasted, because everybody can't be here. And it just is the most amazing thing. And so I thank you. And Mr. Ralph, are you still with us? Okay, I'm going to go to any comments from you, final thoughts?
Yeah, the reason I come to this meeting, and I have for a long time, is the love I feel in here.
Yeah.
It's takes me through the week.
Oh.
No, it does. I'm not trying to pump somebody up. I'm just saying that when I get out of here and I go home,
me too,
that it just makes me feel loved, and I know y'all true. So that's why I come here.
Let me say this. We really do love him. And I know we clown. Let me just tell y'all something. We clown about beating him up. And that's why we keep this. We don't even throw this away, because he needs it at least once every gathering. But let somebody do something to him and see what happened. Okay? We love him. We adore him. We appreciate him. And the love is genuine. And the one thing that I refuse to be around are fake people. I can't do it. I'm not gonna be able to do it. I can't handle the fake. I don't even want to be bothered with that, because I was never able to grow and heal from some of the things from my childhood until I was able to be honest with myself about who I am and about why I participated in things and why I allowed myself to be used and abused in ways that I was, big and small. That was all on me. That wasn't on everybody else. And until such time as I started facing me, Because as long as I was looking at, why did they do that to me? Why did he do me this way? He know how much I love him. He know how loyal I am. Well, guess what? Fuck him. What about me? He can't get close enough to you to hurt you like that if you don't let him get that close. How did he even get that close? And Mr. Ralph, I saw you came back. Did you go somewhere again, Ralph? I wanted to give you a chance to have any last comments. I saw you for a second. There you go. I'm gonna ask you to unmute. Can you see it? Can you unmute, Ralph? Okay, while you work on unmuting, I'm gonna let somebody in the room have their final comments. Ma'am, would you talk any last comments? Anything stood out to you tonight? Mr. Eddie.
Hello, Mr. Eddie.
Yeah.
It's good to have you home. I hope that tonight really gave you some pointers. You said it did, but use them. Don't just listen to them, use them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you can't see it with my filter, but that's why I wrote them down.
Okay, all right, that's all I need to know. Thank you, guys. It was good. Once again, a good class tonight as well.
Thank you, ma'am. Check out for me. Check out.
Yeah, but you didn't say that to me. You told everybody else, do you have? You make it.
No. I done told you before, sister. But 2 times, check in and check out.
So I'm always on the spot. I'm sorry, y'all. So there was a something they said this evening about when you go in, you come out different. Sometimes the same, sometimes a little bit of both. So so for me, I know going in, I was like, I'm still rough a little bit, but I was very rough, very angry, very bitter. So I did come out with wanting to be productive and doing better for myself and being a better person. But the one thing that I did never focus on is relationships with another person. And I'm not talking about my son or my mother, but with another person. And that has caused me to stay bitter a little bit because I'm always in this thing. Like I've been with one person since I've been home, and it's this thing that like I don't know how to kind of get out of it. I know I can. I know it's probably easy, but I don't get out of it. I kind of just stay there for whatever the reason is, and I love him as a friend, but I'm bitter. I'm bitter. I really am. So I don't blame him. I blame me, because you can only blame that person so many times before you have to look at, well, you could leave at any point. But so I'm still like
Processing.
Yeah.
Well, I want to say this about that. First of all, I want to thank you for sharing as much as you did, because this has been a process to get. We force it. You know what? She said we force her. Look, let me tell you something. We love her. And look, and we want her to heal. Okay. And the mere fact that she's even having a conversation or saying those things, and I'm glad that we said something that could spark something in you. And I'm gonna tell you this. It is always the hardest the first time to acknowledge. Right. That's when it's the hardest. And I'm gonna say, look at this fool here. Anyway, okay, but I'm gonna tell you, you on the road. Trust me. Trust me. You on the road to healing. High five, homie. High five. Because let me tell you something. Because just the mere fact that you even said as much as you said today, I'm telling you, you on the road, and I thank you.
Yourself the answer.
Yes, you did.
You keep overlooking it.
You got it. Okay, but go ahead. I want you to talk about what you want to talk about. Don't talk about her. I want you to talk about her.
I just think it's important for Eddie and Ralph, who haven't been here, to know how much time she did too.
Okay, go ahead.
So I did 24 years.
24 years.
For someone else.
For someone else, for a crime she didn't commit. She did 24 years for somebody else. Okay, so that's a cold piece. And that's where some of that bitterness comes from. A lot of the bitterness comes from having spent 24 years incarcerated for something she didn't do, and they didn't tell the truth. Okay, so that's and it's a burden. It's a burden. And again, our focus here is on healing. Listen, there's no judgment about her choices or whatever she did. She did that based on where she was, her self-concept, loyalty, all of those things, and where her heart was at the time. And now our goal is to help her to heal in such a way that nobody can ever put her in that position again. Not for us, but for her, so that she might, because see, she don't deserve another 24 days of bitterness and anger and hurt and pain. Go ahead, please.
And so I'm learning now that I can't be bitter with my co-defendants, because at the end of the day, I'm the one that played mute. I'm the one that went mute because of the loyalty to the street. So I'm learning, if the bitterness, if I'm gonna be bitter, it's probably towards me, because shame on me. But because I had that loyalty to those streets, I sat in prison for 24 years for some. And so I'm only now learning I can't continue to be bitter towards my co-defendant, because they like a piece of shit. So I have to just worry about me. I have to learn not to be bitter with myself and forgive me. I swear I did, but I really did.
Now that's powerful. No, that's huge. That's huge that you thought you forgave yourself and you didn't. That is so enormous. I'm telling you, you really on the road, because you get on the fast track. You can get in that express lane, baby. Because let me tell you this: the bitterness toward them isn't serving anybody. Bitterness toward anybody is not serving you at all. And who we try to serve is you, for your best interest, right? So understanding, even bitter with yourself. But again, like you said, forgiving yourself, that is often the hardest thing to do. But guess what? Now that you know that you need to do that, that's where so this is what I would say. Instead of spending her time thinking about being bitter against her co-defendants, use that energy and that much time focusing on forgiving herself for allowing it. It's a much better use of all of the energy, because it takes energy to remain bitter, right? You have to feed that monster. You got to feed, feed me, Seymour, and the Little Shop of Horrors. You got to feed that monster, and they get hungry, and the bigger it get, the more it wants.
The more you feed, the more it's gonna grow.
Exactly. So now, if she shifts that energy and that thought process into forgiving herself and not being bitter at all, she can really begin to heal and flourish. Because again, you don't deserve another 24 days of suffering for nothing, much less another year or another 24 months or another 24 weeks. You just don't deserve that. But the only one who can release you from it is you. And that's a huge growth thing. Baby, I got the chills. Any last things for you, my dear?
Now that Roberta has said that, I'm just gonna say to everybody else that it is very huge to forgive yourself once you have been incarcerated. For somebody else. Me, when I went, it was a choice I made, but I also left a son at age 4 and went home. He was 21. And I have to forgive myself for that, because I thought I had, and I still have it, for real. But whatever your role was or whatever you went in for, forgive yourself. Just actually forgive yourself.
To be honest with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a huge thing, is again forgiving. Because Cheryl, when you talk about the number of years, Cheryl was gone 17 and a half years, did Fed time. So I just want to say, and Mr. Ralph, is there any way that you can hear me? If you can unmute so that you can give us your last comments. Otherwise, we're going to close out for the evening. And we thank everybody for being here. Okay, well, I just want to say thank everybody for being here. I hope that you enjoyed. This is Free to Heal. Check us out on Facebook. Please leave comments, questions, topics you want us to cover. Leave those things in the comments so that we can address them and deal with them. Mr. Ralph, you trying to unmute? If I press that, do you see something that comes up? You see the little microphone? Usually it's on the bottom. And if you click the microphone,
There you go. Yeah, how you do that? That was quick. What you push?
Anybody playing with Oville tonight? Okay. In any event, Ralph, I'm sorry that we can't get you unmuted at this time. Somebody will help you figure out how to do that the next time. I appreciate you all. This has been Freed to Heal. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Check us out. If you haven't checked out the channel, check out some of our other videos, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye.